Hi, I'm TR, and this is my mid-century ranch home renovation project. So this is episode 5, and today we're going to start the detailed project planning. So I've got my book here, I've got all my notes in my book here indicating all the projects I need to take care of. And so rather than look at my talking mug, we're going to go straight to the workstation and just get right into project planning. Okay, so over here on my workstation, you see I have a copy of Microsoft Excel running right here. So what I've done is I've gone through every one of the pages in my book, and I've started to build a tab in Microsoft Excel around the things that are going to need to be repaired, and I'm estimating some costs. We'll go over here to wallpaper and paint. This is one of the first things we're going to do. So I'm going to need a couple scrapers, I figure, and I just got on Amazon and found out what they would cost. The scoring tool. So I needed vinegar. I've got some primer here, paint. For our carpet and floor refinishing, I figured I'm going to need a dumpster. I got to get rid of all the carpet. Plus I had a bunch of other trash, and I'll figure about 20 days. Let's figure 20 here. Then on the trash hauling, I think I'm probably going to end up with 3, maybe 4 dumps, but we'll put 3 in there for now. They're $25 a piece. The sander rental, it's $48.50 a day. I figure I'm going to need it for 4 days. On the orbital, I'm going to need it for probably 3 days, again at $48.50. I just put in a lot cost for my sandpaper. The stain was, it'll probably be $32 a gallon. The poly, $48 to $50. Applicator, rosin paper, wood filler, etc., etc. So those are the things I'm going to need to refinish the floors. On the electrical, I went through that real quick, and then I just kind of estimated what I'm going to need to get to the basic service replaced. So meter-based distribution panels, etc., etc. I started looking at the garage wall repair. So I'm going to need some framing, sheathing, bracing, top plate. I'm estimating the cost there, and so on and so forth. Now, I also have up on this sheet a labor cost. And in fact, I did get a bid to fix this, and it was $1,670. So we'll be doing that ourselves for sure. On the bathroom, I kind of just roughed it in. Again, that's a future project, but I just wanted to get sort of an overall cost here. The same with the kitchen. I figured some new counters and base cabinets and floor tile and all that sort of stuff. And plus, as I've mentioned before, I'm just coming off a stint of living for 4 years in my RV. And so I'm going to need some tools. I got rid of a lot of the tools, but so I've gone through and I've kind of put in here the tools I think I'm going to need, things like a garbage can. I probably don't need the paint sprayer, but I'm going to get it because that'll be really helpful when I start to do the fence next spring. Personal protective equipment, I just put a lot of $60 in there. Coveralls, water sprayer, which is the tank sprayer to spray the vinegar on the walls. I'm thinking maybe a skill saw, what I call a chop saw, which is really a miter saw. Pressure washer, I'm going to be needing that. Finish nailer combination kit. I'm going to leave this down here as a potential, the Wagner steamer, in case the wallpaper is really hard to get off the walls. I wanted to account for that. So basically I've got this put together, and if we come back over here to the project totals, I just have all these totals from these tabs coming over here. And as I continue to develop this, once I get this done, I'll be putting it up on my website as a blank template that you can download for free. That's over at trbolin.com/Reno, R-E-N-O. And that'll take you to the page where I'm going to have all the materials that support the renovation, all my spreadsheets, all the sorts of things that I think might be handy for you will all be available over at my website, over at trbolin.com/Reno. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. That really helps a lot, and I do appreciate it. Also, your support of my Amazon store is greatly appreciated. There's a link in the description below. Okay, so now we kind of have a budget together. This is a budget looking out probably 12 months at this point. It's not complete, but we're getting started, and I'm kind of getting an idea. And that's kind of the number, right around 23,000, 25, maybe 30 is the number I was looking at total for this renovation. Another application that I use regularly from Microsoft is Microsoft Project. Again, I've used this for years. I've done some really complicated project planning with this, huge relocations. It's a really handy tool. And so it is a tool that provides you with the ability to kind of schedule activities. These are activities over here, like let's just start here with a number one. Now this is an overall roll-up. It's showing the total hours for the project, an approximate scheduled finish based on the work I have scheduled here, and the rolled up cost associated with each of the items here. So if we just look down the list here, I'm looking for properties. You know, I started that on around 528, and I kind of finished right around 624. The closing, those are just dates to help me space this out on the calendar and start to do some planning below. As we roll down this, you see I've got my landscape, my deck, the house exterior, gutters and drainage. And what I've done in this particular case is using my book again. I've gone through and I've done sort of a close step-by-step thought process of going through and figuring out what I need to do to fix something. And I'm going to use the garage as a perfect example of that. So if you remember, the garage has a really bad leaking problem. It's caused because the hip roof of the garage dies into the side wall of the house. So if you look here, you can see, now that I've got the dirt and the leaves and everything blown out of here, that they use some rolled roofing to try to wrap up the side of the house and create sort of a trough to keep the water from penetrating. Well, obviously that's in really bad shape. And again, because all this dirt and leaves and everything was laying in there, I'm not surprised it was leaking, and it did cause a fair amount of damage. As I step down through this, oh, by the way, there's a broken window I need to fix, but I'm going to call this the repair of the common wall. And that's the wall between the garage and the house. And so I got to get the sheetrock off. I'm going to do an inspection and kind of plan repair. Then I'm probably going to have to brace the wall, remove the roof sheathing, replace the framing, replace the roof sheathing, waterproof the house-to-wall connection, and then fix the rotted fascia on the garage roof. Associated with that, I might need to do and build a cricket. I mentioned that in a previous video, which, by the way, reminds me I do have a playlist. I'll link to it in the corner up here with all of the episodes in order so you can follow right along and figure out how we got to where we are today. Moving on, then there's a shed on the side of the garage that I've mentioned before that needs to come off. And so just as a thought to remind myself all the tasks that have to happen, I need the dumpster. I got to remove the windows, remove the siding, remove the door, brace the walls, and remove the roof. Then remove the roof, demo the remaining frame, and then I've got to frame in the garage opening. There is an opening into the old garage. It's about 10 feet wide, so I'm going to have to build a frame wall and throw in there. But I think you get the idea. I've associated some costs in here with this, $150. I'm just rough estimating the framing for the garage. And so what this does for me, though, is this allows me to look out here on a schedule and look and see what's realistic. And so if I roll out here a little bit, all these represent here are these tasks. And they're represented here. The width of this bar shows you how long that task is. And then this black bar here shows you the overall task duration. That's basically all you need to know to look at this chart. So if we come in here and let's say we're going to repair this common wall, and let's come out here and let's zoom up on these tasks. Okay, you can see all the arrow means is one follows the other, right? The tasks are linked. And then let's say I decide that it's going to take 2 hours to change the windows, 4 hours to remove the siding, an hour to do the doors, brace the walls and stuff. Let's make that 5 hours. Remove the roof, let's make that an hour. Demo the remaining frame, let's make that 3 hours. But what you can see here is these were changing and adjusting themselves based on the duration, on the length of the time that I thought it was going to take to do that. We got something there. Frame in the garage opening, let's call that 4. Actually, let's give it 6 hours. We're not going to worry about the dates just yet. I will get to doing that later in another episode where we actually sit down and say, okay, here's when we're going to do this, because frankly, this hasn't been done yet. And so let's just go in here and say that's probably going to be around 10, 5, 20. But I think you get the idea. We haven't done any of this yet. So now we're kind of looking at these tasks in a much higher scale. So this is like Tuesday, October 20th, Wednesday, October 21st. But again, you can see how the length and the duration and how things are all tied together. So again, I'll post this over on my website at trboland.com/reno, and you can pick this up and use it as a template. It might be a good starting point for you. as far as putting together an outline for a house renovation. And so that's the intent of it. I accept no liability for you using it improperly. Let's just leave it that way. All right, just a real quick scan through here. You can see I've got my curtains in here, my painting, the electrical, the floors. This is a living document. I'll be going back to this many, many times and working on it more and more. So, and then also getting some realistic numbers in here on the days and times and how long it's going to take to do some of these tasks. I just basically slapped this together real fast to kind of get this into a project. And now I'll go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and I'll just kind of tweak and tune things and try to get it to where it's realistic, where it actually represents reality instead of just a quick swag at getting all the tasks on paper, if you will. Okay, so there's one last thing I want to do for you, and that is to share with you sort of the overall budget and my motivation for doing the project. We'll come over to my overall budget. The cost of the house was $138,000. It costs about $4,300 in closing and all that sort of stuff. And then right now my renovation is running around $23,131. So that gives us a total cost at this point of around $165,000. I'm guessing that maybe $210 when I get done with everything, which will be improving the kitchen and the bath and all those sorts of things. That gives me about $44,000 in sweat equity, which I think isn't too bad. So I'm happy to live with this as it is. So again, I'll put this spreadsheet over on my website at trboland.com/reno, and you can download it and use it for your own purposes as needed, or adjust it. It's really a pretty straightforward spreadsheet. I don't put a lot of whiz-bang stuff in mine. I just like them to work correctly. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. That really helps a lot, and I do appreciate it. Also, your support of my Amazon store is greatly appreciated. There's a link in the description below. For more real-time updates, you can follow me on social media. Those links are in the description below as well. So that's where we're at. We've got our project plan put together. We kind of know what we're going to be doing, at least for the next 6 to 12 weeks. It's going to fluctuate a little bit because we're going to get into the project. We're going to find stuff that needs to be taken care of, and then we're going to have to stop and work on that. So that's going to mix up our project quite a lot, but that's to be anticipated. So it is what it is. You just have to live and learn. So in the next episode, we're going to be talking about design. We're going to start talking about some colors. We're going to take a look at some possible changes we want to make in the future. I've alluded to those in the past as well. Relocating this wall, redesigning the bathroom, doing something different with the kitchen. I'm leaning towards maybe doing an expansion of the kitchen, 6 to 10 feet. Haven't quite decided yet, but we're going to work through all of that in future episodes. So I invite you to stay tuned for that as well. Your questions and comments are always welcome. I try to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Well, that's going to have to do it. Thanks so much for watching. I sure do appreciate it. Until we get together for the next video, peace.